Welcome to Luma. This demo will highlight the capabilities of our Luma Skills Builder by showing you how to create a new skill that will produce a well-formed ticket. First, we need to decide what type of ticket our new skill will create and what information that we need to request from the user so that the resultant ticket will contain all of the necessary information for the analyst to begin working on a resolution. The skill that we're going to create today will result in the creation of a request for a replacement company badge. We will prompt the user for the following information: the user ID of the employee the replacement badge will be created for, the manager's name for approval, and the reason the badge will need to be replaced. This will be presented as a list. Let's begin creating the building blocks necessary for this new skill. Opening Skills Builder and clicking on the Attributes section, we can search for attributes starting with Employee. We find that an attribute called Employee ID already exists with type of text, so we can simply reuse this attribute in our new skill. For the other attributes, we'll create new ones. Clicking on the New Attribute button, we can create a new attribute for manager's name of type text, and click on the Create button to create the attribute. After creating the attribute, you're returned to the attribute screen. So we'll click on the New Attribute button again to create the second attribute. This attribute will be called Reason with a type of list. In order to create the list, we'll add an entry here. The first entry will be called Lost. The second entry will be called Damaged. And we'll add a third entry. We'll call that Other. Scrolling down, we can now click the Create button to save the attribute. Now that the attributes have been created, we can create the skill. Clicking on the Bots and then Skills brings us to the list of skills. Click on the Add Skill button to create a new skill. Under Skill Name, we'll type Request Badge Replacement. For description, we'll put Request a Replacement Badge. We'll change the permission to Self-Service User. Phrases are what a user will enter to trigger this skill. These phrases help train the machine learning engine within the Luma Natural Language Processing component. We'll enter the following phrases: replace my badge, and I need a replacement badge. 10 to 15 phrases are best for natural language processing training to help match phrases to skills. In the interest of time, I'll enter just 2 in this example. In conversation parameters, we'll add our new parameters. Go to Select Attribute. We'll scroll down and select Employee ID and associate that one. Scroll down, we'll select our new Manager's Name attribute that we created, and then we'll do the same for the Reason attribute. We will also add parameters that will be used to populate the service request fields: description, details, categorization, etc. Note that I have set default values for these parameters as they will be passed through into the ticket. Now that the conversation parameters have all been added to the skill, let's edit them. The Employee ID, Manager's Name, and Reason attributes will all be set to mandatory. Next, I will add prompts for each of them. In the text response field, we'll enter the text of the message that will be sent back to the user. In this case, we'll fill it in with some context, the employee ID, as well as the ticket number that was created. We'll scroll up to the top of the screen and click on the Action tab. When the skill is run, we're going to want to create a service request, so we'll select the out-of-the-box web service, Create Service Request. We will need to update the outbound mapping. So we'll click on the Outbound Mapping tab, click on the Override. In this case, we're going to update the JSON payload that gets sent in with the request. To do so, we will click the Advanced checkbox. Note that I've added the employee ID, manager name, and reason parameters to the description. They could be added as custom attributes to the ticket as well, but for simplicity's sake, I'll just append them to the details section. We'll click on the Create button to save the skill, and that's all you need to do. Once the natural language processing training has been completed, which takes about a minute, then you can test the skill. Now that our skill has been created, let's test it directly from within Skills Builder. We'll click on the test icon here. We'll enter our phrase, enter the employee's ID, we'll enter the name of the manager, and the reason for the replacement badge. You can see that our response has been filled in with a ticket ID as well as contextual information for the user. Looking at the ticket that was created from within ISM, we can see that the details section contains the employee ID, the manager's name, as well as the reason, just as we coded within our JSON payload. You have now seen the current capabilities of our Skills Builder application. Skills Builder is still a relatively new product, and there are a lot more Skills Builder features in the works.